So hi everybody, in today's video we would be looking at network protocols. So in this video we are going to look at a lot of things, like we will look at IP, we will look at TCP, we will look at HTTP. Then we are going to look at like what an IP packet typically looks like, why are they important, and the importance, and why if they are not present there would be a lot of problems when it comes to data sending and part. So let's get started. So we'll start with a very real life example, like why things are important, like TCP, IP, and HTTP. So I will just go down and let's go down here and let's take an example of a person named, like this is Alice and this is a person named Bob. Now, like imagine two people meeting for the first time. As I told you, Alice and Bob, and they don't know each other's language, customs, or communication style. Now, if Alice and Bob wish to communicate effectively with each other and have a meaningful conversation, like Alice wants to say something to Bob and vice versa, Bob wants to say something to Alice. Now, if they need to set a agreed upon norms or rules, like something they need to have mutual. Now, without these rules, their interaction would be filled with confusion, misunderstandings, and inefficiencies. Now, this mutual understanding and the set of rules that is happening between both of them is very much like network protocols in the digital world. Now, consider the stage. Alice is from a country. Alice, I will just take another pen. Alice is from a country, different country than Bob. And in Alice's country, it's a very common thing to have a firm handshake in greeting. Now, Bob on the other hand, is from a place where people greet each other with a slight bow. Now, without an understanding or a common protocol, their first meeting could be very awkward because Alice is from a different country, Bob is from a different country, their traditions are different. So Alice might extend her hand for a shake while Bob might bow down, now leading to a momentary confusion. To avoid this, Alice and Bob decide beforehand or are taught by some common intermediary that whenever they meet, they will first wave, then shake hands, and finally nod. Now they are effectively establishing a greeting protocol between each other. Now this way, each action is predictable, and both the parties, like Alice knows what to do, Bob knows what to do, what to expect, and ensure a smooth transition with each other. So this is a typical example of what network protocols are of. Now let's take story somewhere else. I would just take my pen and let's take a real life example in the field of digital world. Now, in world of computers and internet, devices and systems face a similar challenge. That is the reason we came up with these three concepts known as IP, TCP, and HTTP. Now, just like Alice and Bob needed a protocol to greet each other, computers need protocol to decide like how. I will write it. How. Now, to initiate a conversation, for Alice and Bob, it's the wave part. Now, for computers, it might be a SYN packet in the TCP handshake. Don't worry if you don't know, like how to exchange data. Now, second thing is what. So, what to do during the conversation? For RDO, it was the handshake. For computer, it might be transfer of data packets. And the third part is how. So, how to end or exit the conversation gracefully. For Alice and Bob, it was not. For computers, it might be the FIN packet in the TCP protocol. So why is this important? The point is, the whole point of this TCP, IP, HTTP is why is it important? So the first point is data could be lost or corrupted during transmission, right? If we don't have protocol, like it was going from here to here. We don't have any set of protocols. Now this data might get lost somewhere to here, or it get corrupt while going from one place to another. Now devices wouldn't understand or trust the data they receive. Now suppose there is no set of protocols and this device is sending to this. Why should it trust it if it knows that this is not on a particular protocol? Why should it trust? Now secure and private communication would be challenging, if not impossible, obviously. So in conclusion, so these network protocols are just like Alice and Bob. For Alice and Bob, it was the greeting protocol to ensure smooth, efficient, and reliable interactions in the digital world. as we dive deeper into the specific protocols like TCP, IP, and HTTP, think of them as detailed intricacies and norms that make our vast digital network functional and harmless. So we'll take an example of how an IP network, like IP packet looks like. So this is how an IP packet looks like. So this is like the whole part, and let's take an example here, IP, and I will name it IP, okay? And consider this as data. Consider this as data. Now, this whole part is data for now, and this is IP. Now, what does actually IP stands for? What does IP stands for? So IP simply stands for Internet Protocol. Internet Protocol. So IP stands for Internet Protocol. So this network protocols outlines how almost all the machine-to-machine communication should happen in the world. So other protocols are even used, but IP protocol is the most important protocol when it comes to sending data. So other protocols like TCP, HTTP are built on top of IP. Now you must be thinking that why it is being used. As I told you in the beginning, we need to set a set of protocol that, okay, according to these set and regulations, that data would be sent, everything will be happening to according to these set of instructions. That is the reason we use IP. Now, just imagine if this IP address being sent to an anonymous source, okay, to an anonymous source. Now, what will happen if this is being sent and we don't have any particular order that, okay, in this particular order we need to send, but when it reaches there, that data is not in that particular order. That won't be good for us as well as the person who is receiving it. So that's where TCP comes to rescue. So that is where TCP comes to rescue. I will just write it here, TCP. Now, what is TCP? Let's go down here once again and understand about TCP. Now, TCP stands for, if you guys have actually, heard about HTTP before, you guys must have worked through TCP also. Before introducing TCP, actually we can work through HTTP, but okay, let's start with TCP only. So it stands for Transmission Control Protocol. So it is used for particularly communication. So network protocol. So this is a network protocol which is built on top of IP only. As I told you in the beginning, it is built on IP over IP only. So it allows for ordered, reliable data delivery between machines over public internet by creating a connection. So you can think like this. This is an IP header in the whole IP the network packet that I told you, the IP packet, and inside this we have IP header and then we have the TCP header. So TC is usually implemented in the kernel, so which exposes socket to applications that can use stream of data through an open connection. So the reason that TCP is important, I told you right now. TCP is important for machine to machine communication, reliable data delivery, reliable data delivery. So this is the reason we use TCP. Now, as I told you, TCP assures that reliable data delivery is done between machines over the public internet by creating a common connection. So that was it for the TCP and IP part. Now let's talk about what is exactly HTTP. We will go down here and let's talk about HTTP. So HTTP stands for HyperText Transfer Protocol. So it is a very common network protocol that is implemented on top of TCP. So you see, TCP was implemented on top of IP and HTTP is implemented on top of TCP. So clients make HTTP request and server respond them with a response. So this is the initial stage. This is the initial stage where we are allowed. Okay, this is the initial stage where we are allowed to interact with the IP packet. So so in IP packet you must be thinking, okay, we get it that okay, IP packet is being used and it is used to send data from one place to another. But what is exactly the role of HTTP in this? So sometimes more broadly referred to as just a packet in an IP packet. Whenever we call an HTTP address and we something is being sent from the server to client, it is sent in form of IP packet. So an IP address which contains the source and destination to an IP address, as well as the other information related to the network. As you saw on the top, let's go to the top and look at how this is happening in the backend. Just change the color and okay. So HTTP makes a call, TCP handles it in the backend, and the payload, which is just the data being sent over to the network. So this was an overview of how things work here. Now you can take an example like HTTP a call has been made to HTTP on this particular packet, and this packet is being sent to the source. This packet is being sent to the source. Now this source has the IP address to this. This IP address can be anything. Like I told you about Pokemon.com. It can be 123.61 point something like that. So most of the time we use IPv4 addresses, which consist of 4 numbers separated by dots ABCD, where all 4 numbers are between 0 to 255. So you can take an example of 127, let's say 0.0.1. So this is our old local machine, also referred to as localhost. Whenever you must be using Flask or any web development system, this is the localhost that is being used by a network to display the static website. So yes, this was it for when it comes to network protocols. I won't dive very deep into how TCP works internally, because that is not required for system design and software engineering. It is part of the network engineering part if you are specifically going into that domain. And yes, that was it.